What up, y'all? Welcome to Watch Your Mouth Reviews. This is your boy James, and you're watching my channel where I am going to do a review while trying to watch my mouth. And today, the video that is of topic is my favorite horror movies dating from least favorite to ultimate favorite. So the first video is House of Wax. That is my least favorite horror movie. The movie stars Paris Hilton, Chad Michael Murray, Alicia Cuthbert, Robert Richard, John Abrams, Brian Van Holt, and yours truly, me. Yes, I am in this movie. You won't see me at all, but you know, I was there. So let's get into it. So the movie starts off, we see this lady, she is boiling some wax. And we see a little boy also in the room with her. He's eating some Cheerios, you know, like a little happy little kid. We all ate Cheerio with a little bit of sugar in it. Y'all know how we do it. So she begins pouring the wax into like this ceramic little face. And it, you know, very telling. We had to start from somewhere. We all in the kitchen, you know, making our projects come to life. That's what we do. Case in point here with me. So a man comes in with another little unruly little boy, and he is jumping, flipping, and flopping everywhere. And you're like, what the hell is going on? Like, this is something a simple ass whooping would just take care of. Why are we not thinking like that? So they sit the boy down in this high chair, and they're strapping him with belts and duct tape. And you're like, okay, child abuse. It don't take all that. But, you know, they are really, you could tell this is something they deal with every day, because the little boy had like scars from him rubbing against that belt and that leather and that tape. It was very problematic. And the mom's like, why can't you be like your brother? And it's like, because you didn't raise him to be like that. You raised him to just go crazy. And it's like, what are we doing here? So the boy eventually scratched the mom on the hand, and he got really deep into her skin because she began bleeding, and she slapped the shit out of him. And I said, that's more like it. Thank you. So then the movie continues. We see Paris Hilton on the movie, and she's eating French fries, looking at apartments, because Carly just got this internship at InStyle Magazine. Now, Carly is played by Alicia Cuthbert, and Paige is played by Paris Hilton. Now, viewers' discretion advised, I am going to call her Paris throughout the entire video, because Paris, Paige, they sound just alike. So, y'all know who I'm talking about. Let's move on. So, Wade comes. Now, Wade is played by Jared Padalecki, and he is Carly's boyfriend. Now, Carly and Paige were in the midst of conversation, and he's like, what are y'all talking about? And she's all like, you know, New York. And yeah, and Paris was like, yeah, there's no hillbillies in New York. Because I guess Wade had made some reference that there's these two drunk hillbillies talking about Chad and John, who is Nick and Dalton. And she goes, there's no hillbillies in New York? And he goes, yeah, I guess not. And Carly gives her the, oh, you know, like, get your ass out of here. And so she goes. So in the truck, me and Blake are in the truck. I'm in the back sleeping because I had drove a long way. We were driving for hours. I was sleepy. I was tired. Blake took over for me. He playing with the navigational system, and this is where we fucked up. We put him in charge. So he's over there looking at the GPS. Paige comes over and he's rapping, and I wanted to tell him to shut the hell up because you sound stupid. Arnaz, what are you doing? If y'all know what I'm talking about, when I called him Arnaz, then you woke. So he's playing with the GPS. He goes, look, I found a shortcut. It could save us some miles. And she's kind of pissed off because he's really into this truck, which wasn't really his shit to begin with. It was my shit. That's my shit now. So at this moment here, he kind of woos her, you know, y'all know how men do, you know, and she can't resist it, so they begin kissing. Dalton's creepy ass comes up with the camera, but before he does, him and Nick had this little dialogue with Carly. I didn't really want to mention it, but I guess by the time I went there, we'll kind of circle back. So Nick is an asshole. Chad, you did this role specifically with asshole in mind, because you did excellent. I don't question if you were an asshole in real life. I know you're not, but this role, yeah, you did that. So, you know, they are giving way to the cold shoulder, and it's really because Carly is leaving. Carly is going off and he doesn't want his sister to go. And instead of just saying that, he wants to be this asshole that gives her boyfriend the hard time because 9 out of 10, he probably thinks that it's him that's making her leave. That's what siblings do. It's always somebody else. Never is because I want to better myself. Sorry, this got a little personal. So Wade, as I said, goes up to that camera and peeks in on Paige and Blake. Now, you couldn't see me because I was sleeping, but Paige was like, Dalton, put down that damn camera. God. And I'm just like, Paris, you were typecasted, honey. They really, you were the, let me say, Paris Hilton was the market strategy of this movie. It is a smart move to have somebody who was popping, who has a huge name, because she had a huge name at the time. The Simple Life, come on. She had a huge name at that time. So that was smart to cast her in this movie. But moving on, we, get on the road. We, driving, Blake over here driving slow as hell, and Wade has this almost maroon color Charger, and it is beautiful. I love that car. So I was pretty much here. I wasn't in it because I made Nick and Dalton ride with them because they weren't getting in the back seat with me unless they was gonna be the pillows, because I was not playing. I was tired, I was asleep. Ain't nobody got time for that. So we over here, we driving, and there's a whole bunch of detours and cones. Blake getting us lost. And see, I knew I should have let him drive first. Because look what he doing. Getting us lost and shit. And we don't even know where the hell we at. So, we're trying to figure it out. And Wade's like, fuck it, I'm just going to pull over to the side. And so he pulls over and we look and we see Blake and Paris up in the car. And Paris is doing her head like this, and we thinking, is something sexual going on right now? And they over there making it awkward as hell, honking the horn and shit. And she looks up like she got caught in something. I was in that truck. She was doing that shit, or at least I'm gonna pretend like I'm doing that shit. Cause she said in the behind the scenes it was a joke. What the fuck was the joke? Like, you were making it look like you were doing that shit. Come on, now we not finna do this, Paris. Come on. We know what you was like back then. Like, we not finna do that. So Paris decides to call Carly on the phone and be like, hey, that ain't what you seen. I dropped my stupid lip balm. Nobody believes that shit. So they're like, we're tired. And I said, tired from what? Blake didn't even drive. What is he tired from? So she goes, you want to camp out here? And let me tell you something. I don't camp. I'm not a camper. I don't do that. I'm not somebody. Yes, I went camping as a kid. I hated it. I hate sleeping on the ground. Like, that does not seem appealing to me. So they were like, fine, let's camp. So they find this road, they turn off. Wade sees the House of Wax sign. He goes, ooh, the House of Wax sign. And Nick was like, you like that shit? And Nick was like, Nick, come on now. Like, you just looking to pick at this kid at this point. Because who doesn't like a wax museum? It's fun. You get to see, that's probably as close to celebrities that I could get is a wax statue to some of them. At least at this moment in my life. I may meet somebody down the line, But at this point, wax statues are fun. It's art. It's a creative art, and it does pay a lot of money. I'm telling you, that lady was ahead of her time because she could have been big, definitely this time, because a lot of people love wax. So they pull over, they get the materials off the car for the camping. Carly takes Paris to the side, and Paris begins to say, I think I'm pregnant. Carly goes, well, what if you are pregnant? And she goes, I don't know. She goes, well, his parents aren't going to let you marry him, so what are you going to do? And she goes, who says I want to get married? She goes, look, I've been late on my period before. If I find him, I'll tell him. And I'm like, why would you tell your friend before you tell your boyfriend that you might be pregnant? Because that's life-changing. That's not something you just hide. I get we tell our friends secrets, like how are we going to tell? I get that. But at the end of the day, that should have been the first thing you told him when we was in the car. You slipped. So they finished setting up. They began playing football. Once again, I'm asleep in the truck because I was tired. And, they're playing football. They glad I wasn't out there because I outran all them. So, Blake ends up throwing the ball and it lands directly at Nick's feet. And Wayne's like, come on, man, throw me the ball, throw me the ball. And Nick was like, flicking his cigarette, and I'm just like, okay, Nick, you just really want to be an asshole. We gonna end up liking Nick at some point in this movie, but right now I don't like him. We don't like him. We don't like any of this. So Nick picks up the ball and throws it. And it was a good throw. It really was. He has a good arm. And Blake catches it. And, you know, Wade was kind of like giving him a little bit of the energy he was giving Wade. Like, he was like, oh, nice arm. He goes, yeah. He goes, I see why you were offered a scholarship. And he goes, yeah, wasn't it tragic? Because now he went to jail and fucked up his life. And I'm going to get to why he went to jail in a minute. But, you know, I just think that it's just like you giving Wade all that energy all because you don't want your sister to leave. That's just say that's what it is instead of just doing all this condescending stuff. But that's what we did in the early 2000s. We were condescending in the early 2000s. So Carly goes, look, you can be an asshole to him, or asshole to me, but he didn't do anything into you. And he goes, oh, so you mean you did something? According to you, yeah, I did something. He goes, you dined me out. And she goes, I did not dime you out. When the sheriffs came to the house, I didn't know where the car came from. I didn't know it was stolen. And you gonna blame me? He goes, you could have covered for me. Yeah, Nick, what the hell was she supposed to do? The police have a report of this car being stolen. What is she supposed to do? She told them they didn't know where it came from. Obviously, they got in the car and fingerprinted and found out it was your ass. We're not finna play these games. So, after that dialogue scene, they end up smelling something that stank. And see, this is why my ass was in the truck the entire time. Because I'm not about to entertain something that stinks. I'm just going to be like, oh, okay, time to go. And time to go until I can't smell the shit no more. So Wade was like, something's dead out there. And Blake was like, no, something's dead right here. And, you know, needs to go. And I agree, Blake. I did agree. I was like, that's not flattering at all. So the mood changes. Everybody is happy. We drinking. We're having fun. Dalton's still coming with that creepy ass camera and shit, filming everybody. And Carly kind of gets sick of it. So she grabs the camera from him and they throw him in the tent. And they decide to give him a makeover. He was fine with the clothes he had on. He didn't need a makeover. Because when he came out that tent, he had on this yellow ass shirt and these sunglasses. And I'm just like, really, Paris? That's what we decided to put on? Like, we didn't think to, you know, make him more masculine. We made him extremely feminine. I get it. That's what you girls like to do when you play dress up. I get it. But that looked ridiculous. He looked like a damn ice skater. It was horrible. No shade against ice skaters. I love y'all. I do. I really do. But he looked horrible. So, you know, at this moment where he's still filming, because the couples kind of went into their little intimate session. I didn't have nobody there with me, so I guess I wasn't a part of this, and neither did Nick and Dalton. So he's zoomed into them kissing, and then he pans the camera on Nick, and Nick is like, I ain't kissing you, dude. And I said, why not? You got all that pent up energy, you need to do something with it. So a truck comes and he has on his high beams, blinding everybody, and everybody's like, yeah, you need something? Can you turn your lights off, please? And I'm like, why is no one saying, okay, look, man, I'm sorry, let me get my shit and go? Because I'd have been gone. Because you're not getting out the truck, you're not saying anything, you're making me uncomfortable. It's already creepy there as it is, and we smell something that stank. What else do we need to make this ain't the right situation to be in? So I'm pissed because everybody's sitting there looking at that truck. I'm ready to go. I'm almost gonna lead them there. So Nick comes up out of nowhere, picks up a bottle and throws it at the truck's headlight and breaks it. And I'm like, damn, that was a good... I know he didn't really throw it. I actually saw the behind the scenes. I know he didn't really throw it. But it was like, damn, can you imagine somebody actually could do that? That is some talent. So Nick comes up, takes off his hood, and was like, what's up? Like, what you trying to do? And then here come Dalton, stupid ass, with that bright ass yellow shirt, talking about some, what? And it was like, if you don't sit your ass down, so what was that gonna do? Because if you got out that truck, your ass have been running. So go somewhere. Dalton, he was funny, but it was just like opportunity, Dalton, opportunity. So, it ends up ending the night. You know, everybody is freaked out, so we all go to sleep. I wasn't sleeping in the tent, so I slept in the back seat of the truck. Nick, Dalton, Carly, and Wade were in one tent, and then Paris and Blake were in another tent. So Dalton's camera ends up filming. Now I saw who it was, but I made sure he didn't see me. So I'm like this. I'm like this. And the first person you stab, I'm getting in this truck and I'm driving off, leaving their asses. I promise. So the man, Carly's like, wakes up and she's like, I'm hearing something. Now, if I was Carly in this situation, I would woke everybody up. Everybody got to get up because I heard something. And so Carly gets out of the tent and begins walking towards the cars. She knocked on the window to make sure I was good. I acted like I was asleep because I thought that was that man. I couldn't tell all this hair. I couldn't tell nothing. So she then walks behind Wade's car and looks and didn't see anybody. And then here comes Wade scaring the shit out of everybody. And he goes, what are you doing? And she was like, you scared me. I said, you're damn right. The hell you sneaking? Why is you sneaking up on people when they trying to figure out what the hell's going on? You supposed to say from 10, Carly, you all right? What you doing? You gonna walk up on her? That was creepy as hell. Like, damn, just crazy. So he goes, come back to bed. And she's like, okay. So they go back in the tent. They giggling, goofy. You know, they finna go cuddle in the tent. It's the next morning. Blake wakes up and realizes we're all late for this football game that I didn't even want to go to in the first fucking place. I was trying to really go to that town to get something to eat. I love going into towns and eating. So that's what I wanted to do. They wanted to see this football game, which fine, we can eat after. But it's 2 o'clock, we late. Blake waking everybody else, throwing footballs at tents and shit. He knew not to knock on my fucking window because I would have cussed him out. So he just left me alone. He knew I wouldn't sleep at all. He knew I was on my phone majority of the time. So we go off. I had to pee. So I went off. The girls went their separate direction. I went in my direction. And Carly's peeing everything. And Paige asked her about, so what did Wade say about New York? And she goes, he really hasn't pressured me about leaving, so I can't pressure him about staying. So we just kind of seeing where it goes, which is smart. I think that was reasonable if we were following the dialogue of that conversation. The smell comes back again. And Carly goes, oh my God. And Paige like, oh shit, there that shit is again. So Carly goes, I think it's coming from over there. And Paris was like me. Yeah, let's go follow the smell. And she goes, I want to see what it is. Why? For what? What are we going to do when we find it? Not a damn thing. So what are we doing here? So she goes off and she literally is like, we're going to go this way. Paris was like, whatever, I'm going to follow you. So we go back to the guys. And Wade, has to go and start up his Charger because, it's an old school car. You got a carburetor, you got to pump on, step on the gas pedal. You got to start that motherfucker back up and you got to let it run for a little bit. And the car doesn't start. Wade is immediately pissed off because, and I would be too, because the last thing I want to be is stranded somewhere. I don't know where the fuck I am. And I got all these crazy people with me. We know. Wade, I get it. I was with you, Wade. I'd have been mad too. Nick and Dalton is laughing at him while he's talking about, I got a broken fan belt. And it's like, why would y'all laugh? Y'all are assholes. Both of y'all are some assholes for that. Because why would y'all laugh at him? That's not funny. That's why that shit gets y'all. But anyways, so Dalton loses his camera. And he's getting mad. And we're like, we don't give a fuck about that camera. So we go back to the girls. Carly is still trying to figure out where the smell is. Paris is like, oh my God, I hate you. Well, then why the fuck did you? I wouldn't even have went with her. She would have went by herself. She slips down this slope it was the back of a hill, and she lands right in the middle of what the smell was, which was some roadkill in the stump. And I just said, I know that had to be horrible. I would have fainted. I can't do bad smells. I'm one of those people who cannot tolerate a bad smell. And I can't look at dead animals. I hate that. So she sees this hand, and she don't know if it's real. We don't know if it's real. We don't know what's going on, and we sure ain't finna touch it. So she's freaking out. Paris was like, as I said, Paris was like me. She stood at the top of the damn hill and was like, then just looking at her, and I would have too. I wouldn't have went down there. You didn't see my ass down there, did you? So it's like the guys end up coming, and Paris was still standing there, and I couldn't blame her for that. Because didn't nobody tell Carly to go follow a fucking smell? Why? For what? Ma'am? So Wade picks her up. The guys come out. And I thought it was hilarious because Blake gonna ask Paris, baby, you okay? Yeah, we all right. We ain't go down there with her being in that shit. Damn, Blake, let me tell you something about Blake. The elevator don't go all the way up to the top of his level. It just doesn't. Blake is stupid in this movie. And I'm mad that y'all made him like that. I'm mad that y'all made him just seem just so stupid and ignorant. Because that's what he was. And it was making me mad. Let's proceed on. So a strange truck pulls up. And mind you, I'm at the very top of this hill. I'm not going down there. I don't want nobody to see me. So this man backs his truck up, literally in the roadkill. And he has another deer that he probably ran over. And he throws it in the dump. And we're looking like, so you're just gonna leave that shit there to stink and let the sun cook it? Is that really what they do? People who live in the woods, in the wilderness, and understand this whole dialogue, is that really what they do? They just leave the shit for it to stink and... Because I imagine some people gut it and kill it and not waste the meat, which is what he says somewhere in the down line in this movie. But I imagine that's what people do. I don't think people just throw it in the pit, do they? Comment that. If you're watching this video, hey, thank you, like, comment, and subscribe. But if you are watching this video, is that really what people be doing? Let me know. Hook me up. Because this is bothering me. You see, I stuttered. Hook me up. So the man, they all point at the hand, which was funny because it was like, oh shit, y'all gonna point at this hand. So the man walks in the middle of the roadkill. In the middle of the roadkill to pull out what is I don't think it was a wax hand. I think it was like a prosthetic hand. And he knocks on it. He goes, it's not real. I'm just fooling. And it's like, okay, you're weird. You're creepy. I want no parts of you. So, at this point, Wade was telling Blake, hey man, look, I got to fix my car. You know, I want to go with y'all, but I'm not trying to, you know, be in this situation where my car is bad. Like, we need to fix this shit, like, you know. And Blake was like, well, what do you want to do? And it was like, take him to the gas station. He goes, well, let's go to Baton Rouge because we can go get the parts. We can go to an actual parts store. And he goes, there's no way I'm leaving my car. Like, what happens if that guy comes and strips it? It's not like we all can fit the Escalade. And, you know, I get where you coming from because that is a beautiful car. I'd be mad as hell if I left my shit and somebody fucked it up. I get it. But, so the man was like, I'll give you a ride. He goes, are you sure? He goes, if you like. And he goes, yeah, sure. You know, I'll take the ride. Absolutely. And Carly goes, I'm going to come with you. And Paige was like, no, don't do it. And I was kind of with Paige, like, are you sure? Because, yeah, that don't look, you know, clean. And so she goes, yeah, I'll be fine. So Nick comes over. This is where we begin to like Nick. We begin to see that, okay, there is some good in you somewhere. He gives Carly the white beater that he was wearing, giving her the shirt off his back, which I thought was real sweet. Like, I would have did that for my brother or my sister, like, you know, it'd have been that kind of situation. So they begin to go down with the creepy man, and Dalton's like, You really gonna leave him as a guy who throws roadkill on the middle of a road? And he goes, well, you clean shit. What's the difference? Well, Nick, the difference is one of them pays extremely well and is always going to be needed. The other one seems illegal. Seems like you would just call animal control. That's the difference. Moving on. So Carly and Wade are in the truck with the man. We don't never get his name. I don't think he ever said his name. So we're just gonna call him the creepy little man in this truck. And inside this truck, he has all kinds of bones and furs and possums and squirrels and all kinds of unnecessary shit that I would want to see in a truck. It probably smells like you wouldn't believe in that truck. I wouldn't know because I wasn't there. I wasn't getting in that truck. You could even have paid me to get in that truck. So Carly, after smelling that shit, because I know it's things, she says, can you roll the window down, please? And there's no handle for the window or the doorknob. So it's like, what's going on here? And he goes, the truck's seen better days. And so it was like, okay. He goes, well, can you roll down your window, please? And he goes, sure. He goes, sorry, I gotta get used to the smell. And Carly goes, I don't think I could ever get used to that. And he goes, you could get used to anything when you've been around it long enough. And it's like, yeah, I would have been like, okay, you can pull over now. I'm good. I don't need no ride no more. So, which eventually they end up doing. He ends up, getting in there. But before he does so, she sees that he has this big ass knife. Now, knowing my crazy ass, I'd be like, oh, that's a nice knife, and because I want to make sure I bring attention to it, not the same way she did. See, what she did it in like a panic way, and I think the dude could sense that. I would have did it like, oh, that's a nice knife, let me see, and probably would have held it and everything, and then gave it back to him, and it probably would have been the end of that. But he starts spelling out, and then he stabs the dash, creeping everybody out even more. So he stops the truck at the wash. There's a wash that before you can enter the town going from the direction they were going in. There is a wash. I have to switch my hubs into 4-wheel drive. You want to give me a hand? Now, I was kind of waiting Carly on this one. When's the last time you've been down here? You mean to tell me you didn't leave your truck in 4-wheel drive? Maybe it's one of them trucks where it don't run well in 4-wheel drive. I don't know nothing about 4-wheel drive. Not that much, at least. I know you have to go really slow. So maybe that's what it is. And it's like, I'm pretty sure they created the gear shift for 4-wheel drive. And that time, that truck don't look that old. So, but anyways, they're like, we'll walk the rest of the way. Thank you. You've done enough. Why would y'all want to do that? She goes, look, just let us out right now. And so he's like, sure. And he was very creepy. So he takes the knife and they're scared. They're like, oh shit. So they're like, you know how you turn your posture to make sure that if you juke it, you can at least dodge it. So he opens the door, but he puts the knife back in the satchel. He goes, well, get out then. And they go, oh, he goes, I try to do something nice. He goes, man, we really appreciate it. He goes, yeah, I get that. He was offended. I mean, and in retrospect, I would be offended as well because I'm giving you this ride, but at the same time, I'm not creepy. So, one doesn't equal the other in this situation. I get where Wade and Carly were coming from. I probably would have got the fuck out way before we hit the town and not wash. But they end up walking into the town, and then Wade kind of is like, well, I kind of feel like an asshole that I did that to that man. I didn't need to do that. And she goes, he was creepy. Like, no, the fuck? Yes, you did. You did need to do that. So we go back to me, Paige, Nick, Dalton, and Blake. I'm in the back sleep. They wanted to sit back there with my ass. You gotta be my pillows. Sorry, I'm in one person's lap and my leg is in the other person's lap. That's how it goes around here. And they sit up here arguing with him. I'm knocked out because I'm tired. And he didn't want to drive back. So eventually I said, okay, fine. I'm going to get up and drive back. So I drive us back. We go back to Wade and Carly. They're looking around the town, looking at everything. It's the smallest town. I'm sorry, House of Wax people who did the production. It's nice. I'm going to give y'all that. It is very nice. It is very creative, but that looks like a set. It looks like a set. It does not look real whatsoever. And it's like, I love it, but I wish it would have looked more real. That did not look real to me. So they come up to this gas station, and we realize it's Bo's gas station because the creepy man said Bo has one in his gas station. He runs an Ambrose. So this is the town of Ambrose. Carly walks into there and they're trying to find Bo. They can't find Bo, and they're like, "What should we do?" And Carly gets a call from Paris, and Paris was all like, "We're driving back." And she goes, "What happened?" She goes, "Traffic." And she asked if she got the fan belt. They said, "No, we didn't get the fan belt because no one's at the gas station." So she goes, "Well, where do you want us to pick you up?" She goes, "Well, come down to the street. It's washed up, and just call me when you get to the end." And Paris goes, "Okay." We see a lady look out the window, and she just pulls the curtain back. Nosy ass ladies, that was what they was paying for. Good job on that. So Wade sees the House of Wax, and he really wants to go inside. And if the town didn't look like that, I probably wouldn't have mind. But the fact that that town looks abandoned and creepy, no. So she says, "Let's go into the church." So they walk into the church, and they look like they walked into a middle of a funeral. Which, if that were real, that would be fucked up. But we know this isn't real. We know this is all staged. But they couldn't tell because literally they just looked around. It was like a quick minute. Sometimes wax can look real depending on what kind of lighting you're in. So they probably were like, "Okay, damn." So Bo walks out. We don't realize it's Bo. He announces himself as Bo when they say they're looking for him. And he goes, "Well, you found him." And he's pissed because they walked into a funeral. He pulls out a cigarette and begins smoking. They're being apologetic, and they tell him what he needs, and he goes, "You walk into a funeral for a fucking fan belt? Sure, let me dump the casket in the ground and I'll be right there." I said, "Okay, Bo, yeah, I mean, I get it. If this were real, I understand. But what you're not finna do is you're not finna talk to me like that. I've been knocked your head off." But we're gonna proceed on. So Bo walks in the church. They feel defeated. They was attempting to walk away, but then Bo walks out back to them. And then eventually goes, "I'm sorry, someone I lost very dear to me, And they're like, "No, I understand," especially Carly. Wade kind of sitting back like, "You coming on too strong. What's the hell going on?" And he is kind of, well, first of all, Alicia Cuthbert is beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And I could see why Wade would be mad, because it's like, that's my girl, and you is trying to flirt with her in front of me. Like, really? Okay, I see you. So he kind of gets pissed and kind of gives her the cold shoulder, and she goes, "Once again, you're an asshole." And then she wants to go see the House of Wax because now she's not as creeped out anymore as she was in the beginning. Okay, Carly. So they go into the House of Wax, and it's kind of one of those pandemonium things where I don't know if really she is that excited. It seems like she's, wanting to do it just so that way it would make him smile. They kind of have that kind of relationship where I feel like she's doing things in a way where it would just make him happy if I did it. Girls, y'all gonna learn to stop doing that. Just saying. So the scene pan around this sculptor, and he's sculpting a body of a woman, and that's pretty decent. Whoever this sculptor is that they got to be in this movie, he does really good. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't do celebrities, or if it was somebody who does celebrities, because he actually did a really good job. And he hears the door open, and he looks up, and all you hear is Carly and Wade's as they being loud as hell. And one of the things that they notice in the House of Wax is there are no celebrities. And I would have thought that was weird too. Like, isn't the House of Wax supposed to be like famous people or people who are known for something? Just well-known people. So she begins looking around. They begin reading, about Trudy Sinclair, the wax sculptor, the famous wax sculptor. She's in all the local newspapers and what have you. So Carly begins turning over the statues then after reading it and sees the name Vincent on there. And she goes, "Oh, wow, this Vincent must be quite the artist." And Wade's kind of, he's really into it. He, starts playing with this dog. The dog ended up being real. That shit was funny. When that dog started barking and Wade fell, I was dying. But then Carly begins, wants to look at herself in the mirror, and then she sees something at the window. Now, it was Vincent. Vincent has on this wax mask. At that time, we really couldn't take a good look at it, which later in the movie, he gives us a full glimpse, and we were like, ooh, that seems problematic to have wax on your face like that. But okay. So she gets freaked out, and she's like, I just saw somebody. So Wade goes outside and begins to assess the situation. Carly kind of panics and still looks around inside because she's scared to go outside. And Wade is kind of looking at her through the window and saying, I don't see anybody. And so Carly then goes into the kitchen. And when Carly goes into the kitchen, she immediately looks at Wade and sees that Wade is kind of going to this like kind of cellar, like kind of like it was kind of built like that. And he goes, there's nothing. And then she turns around and he scares the shit out of everybody by knocking on the window. And she turns around and sees a maid with the wax kind of melted. She freaks out, which I would have too. That shit was scary. She freaks out, and then she literally runs out, and he's trying to calm her down. She goes, I just want to go. I just want to go. I just want to go. And she was like, please, let's go. And he goes, fine, we'll go back to the station. So we pan back around to me, Paris, Dalton, Nick, and Blake. Blake at first came into my tent to say, hey, go pick up Wade and Carly. And I said, you don't get the fuck out of my tent after I just drove all this way again. And we back in the same spot again. So I said, go ask Wade and Dalton. They ain't doing shit but playing with each other. Go ask with them. This fool literally goes up to them while they are peeing and says, you guys gonna have sex? Because me and Paige are. So y'all gotta go get them. And Paige was like, oh no, we can go get them. And he goes, oh baby, come on, I'm tired of driving. And I almost said, motherfucker, you didn't drive, I did. Stop playing. So he gives Dalton the keys at first, and then Nick grabs Dalton by his titty. And then he's like, give me them goddamn keys. And so he gives them the keys, and then, they come off. And then we go back to Wade and Carly, who were at the gas station. And they're looking around for the 15, because first of all, I would have did this in the beginning if I was with them. I would have grabbed that shit, put that money on that counter, and would have got the hell out. Like, really, you could have just walked off with the motherfucker, because it don't look like ain't nobody been in that gas station for years. But no, we do the right thing around here. We put the money on the counter, and then we go on by our way. He gave him $20. But how much does a fan belt cost back then? It was like $15, wasn't it? Yeah, you was all right. So at this point, he can't find the fan belt that he needs. He needs a 15-inch. They only have 14, they only have 16. So he goes, I'm just going to use a 16-inch and we'll figure out something. All you have to do is just soak it in some water and that should be just fine. So as they're about to leave, Bo pops up. And he goes, you plan on stealing that? And he goes, no, I left you some money on the counter. He goes, is that covered? He goes, well, it's close enough. Bo, get the fuck out of here. You know that was enough money. This is 2004? Come on. Don't play with us. But he goes, I have 15-inch belts at the house, because at this point, Wade told him, you don't even have what I'm looking for. He goes, I have it at the house. So he takes them up to the house, and, and they tell him, oh, well, this town seems like it's lovely, just lying their asses off. It looks lovely, we went to the wax museum. And he goes, you went inside? And they were like, yeah, we went inside. And he goes, oh. He goes, I guess things seem to be unlocked around here. And it was kind of like he was hitting at something. And see, me, I pick up on everything. I'd have been like, so what do you mean? Like, were we not supposed to go in there? Was it not open today? And he was all like, this town used to be known for that wax museum. Trudy Sinclair, Dr. Sinclair. He starts giving this backstory of the Sinclairs as if he's not one himself. It was very interesting and very weird at the same time. So they walk up to the house, and at this point, they're like finishing Bo's story, and he goes, hop in the truck, I'll give you a ride to where you're going. And she goes, no, we have some friends coming to pick us up where it's washed out. He goes, well, I'll at least give you a ride there, hop on in. So Carly gets in, and he goes, well, wait a minute, didn't you tell me you had to use the restroom? And he goes, yeah. Wade goes, yeah. And he goes, okay, well, come on. And so they both go in the house, you know, and he goes upstairs. He points Wade to the direction of the bathroom, which is way in the back of the house. And it's like, at this point, it's like, Wade, you could have found you a tree at this point. Like, it never had to be this serious. Like, or you could have found some bushes and peed. Like, we did not need to go in this man's house. But he goes in the house anyway. And Wade, after he pees, is nosy as hell. He's looking through all these people's shit and looking through all this stuff, looking at the medical, playing with stuff. Carly is in the truck, bored out of her fucking mind. She begins trying to turn on the radio. There's no station except for this opera-like station. And she's like, nobody trying to hear that. So she turns the shit off. So they're taking forever, which I would have been impatient like her too if I was waiting all that damn time and ain't nobody came out yet. So she begins looking at the truck and she remembers Nick threw the bottle that broke the truck's headlight. So she's like, oh shit. So at this point, she honks the horn and was like, and so she does that, it gets Wade's attention and the lights turn on. Now, back with Nick and Dalton, they're still driving, trying to meet them. Nick notices that the town's not even on the GPS, which, how does that happen? Like, how does a town just go unmarked? Like, the land has markings. Whatever, movie magic. I'm not even going to go there. So they get into the dialogue about who stole what and who had the car. And it came to find out Dalton really stole the car. And Nick was just covering him. And Nick kind of gave him that whole, well, your jacket, it was clean. Mine already had plenty of stains on it. So what? You know, who cares? And it's like, if you had a full scholarship to go to college because of you playing football and you didn't commit no crimes until then, it's like you're looking at this backwards and wrong, Nick. And then your result of that is now you're angry when you didn't have to do it. Dalton would have just went to jail and I would just go and visit him ever so often. Moving on. So Carly panics. She ends up, I'm knocking my camera over. Hold on, y'all. So Carly goes over there and she immediately panics. She honks the horn. The lights go off. Dalton's locked in the room now. Or not Dalton. Wade is not, sorry, y'all. Wade is locked in the room. And she's like, oh my God. Like, she begins to call Paige. And she goes, guys, look, the truck we saw last night, we just ran into him. And then Bo comes out the house. And so, but she's smart because she puts the phone by her leg and still has it on. So she's still on the voicemail. And she goes, where's Wade? He goes, oh, he must not have came out the bathroom yet. I got the fan bell. And she's like, oh, hell no. So she grips the truck and she locks the door. And I'm just like, oh shit, here it comes. And he goes, what are you doing? And so he throws everything. And it was like, oh yeah, I caught your ass. I caught you. So he goes, you better open this door. Open this door or I'm going to call the cops. And she goes, you're the guy from last night. No, why the fuck would you admit that? And then there's another thing, Carly. Why the fuck didn't you just start the fucking truck up and then just back the shit up and then left his ass there? Like, I would have instantly started that truck up and been gone. Because there's no, at this point, he's going to try to kill you anyway, so you might as well just try to make a run for it. Hello? So it took him to break the window for her to start the damn truck up. And eventually she puts the shit in gear and then backs up. And he's hanging on to the truck, but she ends up turning the wheel and the truck ends up sliding and going off a cliff, and he eventually falls off. So then she puts the truck in drive and then she presses on the gas pedal, but she can't see anything and she's driving herself off a wedge. Now, I don't know what year that truck is, but it seems like it's rear wheel drive. So it goes from the rear instead of the front tires, which is strange for me. I'm going to admit, I know that might not be strange for people who are familiar with these kind of trucks. I'm not familiar with it at all. That was strange to me because it was like, okay, well, begin rocking the truck, do something, don't get out of it. But she gets out of the truck, she goes through the back, and then she tries to make her run for it. Now, at this moment, I'm laughing because I'm just like, you're stuck in this town. You have this crazy man who's after you. And you don't know what the hell to do. There's nobody around. There's nobody walking the streets. What do? So what she ends up doing after this is she runs inside the church, and it was like, oh shit, everybody's in here waxed. She notices nobody is responding to her, nobody is there. And meanwhile, while she's in the church freaking out, Dalton goes inside the House of Wax. Or no, we're not there yet. Hang on. Sorry. No, we're not there yet. So the part we're at is we're kind of looking at her in this church, and she is touching shit, breaking it, and going forward. And then we look at Wade. Wade is getting the actual wax. So we're actually seeing Wade kind of, go through the process of how Vincent turns them from human to wax bodies. I know I'm kind of going all over the place, but it kind of trying to tie in three things at the same time. It was weird how they made this movie and this part of the movie specifically. But now then we go back to, Carly, who eventually figures out, okay, it's a whole town rigged. They don't know at this point. So what she ends up doing is she has to hide because she hears Bo coming up the stairs to the church. And what Bo ends up doing is Bo looks around to see, and he's counting and looking. He kind of does this routinely. He did that in the movie theater to the end. I'll get to that in a minute. But he notices that the Reverend put on some weight because he was looking at the robe, and he's like, oh no, that ain't right. So he literally wrangles in the robe, and Carly comes out. She runs. She doesn't run fast enough, which was sad because he ends up tackling her down, and she's in front of this house. And we saw the same lady in the beginning open the curtain, and she's like, help! And then the old lady just put the curtain back like this. We don't know if that lady is real or not at this point. We just kind of, just assuming based on what's going on. So he takes Carly into the gas station. Bo takes Carly into the gas station, ties her up to the big chair, similar to how he was tied up as a kid. And he begins duct taping, and we hear Dalton's voice. Because remember, Dalton and Nick showed up to the town. I kind of skipped ahead, so now I'm back on the scene. Dalton and Nick show up. And Nick is like, nobody's here. And Dalton's calling her name. And he goes, well, you sure you don't want to look around first? You sure you don't want to do this? And he goes, I'm thirsty. I want to go to the store. And he goes, well, what about Wade and Carly? Maybe they're at the store. Now, Nick, we started liking you, and now we're not liking you anymore, but we'll like you again coming up here pretty soon here. So Nick kind of feels for Dalton. He's right. You go that way. I'm going to go this way. We meet back here in 10 minutes. If we don't find them, then we'll tear this place apart to look for them. And he goes, okay. So right now, he's trying to get Carly to be quiet. So what he ends up doing is Bo ends up gluing Carly's lips together. Now, I said, wow, you gonna glue this girl's lips together? Really? That is fucking crazy. Like, I just couldn't imagine my lips being, close together like that. It's like, no, like that's tape it. Just give me some tape around my mouth. You ain't got to glue my lips together. So when he's ungluing the lips together and everything, he goes back upstairs, and then that's when he eventually sees Nick. And Nick was like, hey, I'm looking for my sister and her boyfriend. And he goes, I haven't seen her. And he goes, well, this is the only gas station in town, right? And he goes, yeah, but sometimes my brother Vincent works here. And he goes, well, there definitely would have been here. And he goes, well, he's at the house. We can go talk to him. So Nick was like, okay, fine, whatever. So at this point, Carly breaks the chair. And what she ends up doing is she tries to stick her finger. Now, I hate this part of this movie. This is why this movie became one of my favorites, because that is something I would never want to experience. But she puts her finger like literally through the little holes through one of the actual vents. And he ends up seeing her finger. So he pretends like he ties a shoe, grabs some cutters and cuts off her fucking finger. And when I tell you, I screamed my first time seeing that. And I was so disgusted. And She's freaking out. I would have fainted at that point because I'd have been like, oh, ain't no point in me living no more. I'm dead. But what she ends up doing is she ends up putting the finger on her lips so she can break apart. So that was smart to make it moist so that way you can break it apart. And she yells, Nick. Nick hears her and Bo attempts to stab Nick, but Nick ain't no fool. Nick hit him with that quick 1-2 and ran in the gas station and locks him out the gas station. And then so Bo goes to the garage to try to get in. Nick jumped on the garage and put it back down and then locked it. And I said, Nick, you my ace. That's exactly what I would have done. Job well done. I'm starting to like you now. So he yells Carly's name. She says, I'm down here. He kicks the door open, finds her, and immediately he goes into concern mode. He's no longer the asshole. This is my sister. I'm now concerned. And he asks where Wade is. She goes, I don't know where Wade is. We kind of got separated. And so they go upstairs. They try to look for Bo. Bo takes the, I guess that was Bo that took the actual tow truck and drives off. We don't know where Bo is at this point. All we know is that we need to get the hell out of here. So he asks where her cell phone is. Her cell phone is, in the truck. And then he asks, okay, the car is, the Escalade is at the wash, but Dalton has the keys. And he goes, shit, Dalton. So Dalton now this is where Dalton goes into the House of Wax. Dalton goes to the House of Wax and he is looking around calling Carly and Wade's name. He sees Wade at the piano, but Wade is Wax and he doesn't realize it because, as I said, Vincent does great work. Vincent, really could have been bigger than what he is, but listening to Bo, that's why you don't always listen to your siblings who ain't went nowhere in life, because look at you. Here you is with all this talent and you stuck in this town with your brother killing people. Vincent, I don't know if what happened when y'all were kids, when your daddy sliced you down the middle, he sliced half your brain with Bo, but yeah, Bo should not have had all that control if you had this much talent. Just saying. So we're looking at Wade, and he's not figuring out that Wade hasn't responded. Wade hasn't looked. So he goes, Wade? And so he touches Wade's skin, and it's Wax, and he goes, oh shit. So then Dalton, not having any mind whatsoever, he begins peeling, and the wax is into his skin. So when you peel it, it actually goes into flesh. And it's nasty, and he continues to do it. He doesn't stop and says, okay. And at this point, we see Vincent at the window. Wade sees him and tries to warn Dalton, but, Dalton's not listening. So finally, Vincent comes over and slices half of Wade's face because Dalton ducked at this point. He was giving him a fight. Like, he was throwing shit at him. He was kind of doing, the bare minimum. And then he runs into the basement and he goes, hold on, as if Vincent's automatically supposed to stop. Dalton, why didn't you just jump your ass down and got downstairs and then just went wherever the fuck it led? And then if you can get into a corner or you could pick up some shit and throw it at him, why would you say hold on and let him push you? You fall down the stairs, now your ass can't get back up, and then he literally took both his knives and went like this and completely decapitated his head. Dalton's death was fucked up. I'm not gonna lie to all of them. Him and maybe Paris's death were probably the worst. Paris's death was pretty bad, but Dalton's was worse. Like, his whole head got, I guess that man said, fuck it, I'm just gonna have to just do you without a head. So, now we're at a point where we're going over to Paris and Blake and myself. Now, because Wade and Carly are out, I'm at a point where I'm just going to use day 10 till they get back. I actually fell for it. I got tired of sitting in that truck. So they start playing music, being loud as hell. And, I'm just like, shut that shit up. So eventually the music turns off and Blake goes, what's up with the music? And I'm sitting in the other tent listening to them going, what's up with the music, really? And Paris is giving him a whole show. She, she got her lingerie on, she doing the thing. We was all up in the theater when I was 14, 15, looking at that non-booty she had and seeing her shaking it. It was quite a show. So she's trying to give him the conversation, and it was all like, ma'am, he ain't trying to have no conversation. He ready to get in them sheets. Like, you should have waited for that. Like, I don't know what you was trying to do, but you should have waited for that. But she's like, I need to talk to you. He goes, let me go fix the music. Let me turn the music back on. We can, get down. And she goes, God damn it, Blake, I'm trying to talk to you. And Blake ain't even trying to hear that. So Blake sees that he has a message on his phone. So, he listens to the message and notices that it's Carly. We don't know what happened to Blake. And Paris said, fuck it, I'm going to sleep. So Paris turns off her light and she goes to sleep. And then, she hears the tent open. She ain't all the way asleep yet. She hears the tent open and she goes, Blake? And then she sees some hair and she's like, oh no, that ain't Blake. So she turns on the light and sees that it's Vincent. And she freaks out. That tent almost tipped over, which is what she was supposed to do. But she manages to get out and she runs. And she ends up going into this abandoned mill. We can tell that it was a mill. I think it was a sugar mill. I think that's what they were saying. This was a sugar mill. So she ends up going in there. It's dark. I'm sure she can't see. And so she kind of gets into like this little little corner where the stairs are, and she hides. And she tries to be quiet, and then the man turns on the lights, and then she sees there's a bunch of old cell phones. And these is old ass cell phones. These ain't like the current cell phones that they would have had in that time. So she tries to turn one on, and they're not turning on. And so she's like, oh shit. So she ends up thinking, let me try to defend myself. So she grabs a pole from one of the furnaces. She breaks it and then runs up the stairs. And this is where she gets stupid. Why the fuck would you run up some damn stairs and go on the second floor where he could see you from the bottom? All he had to do was look up and see that your ass was right there. That was stupid. So he ends up taking his knife and stabs her right on the heel of her foot. She screams and falls. Now, the knife was a little too thick to go through all them holes, so when he was trying to stab her, it wouldn't go all the way. So what she does is she ends up running, and she ends up trying to find an unlocked car, not get in the driver's seat and try to see if the car has keys, but gets in the back seat and ducks down. She still has this pole, but the man, was circling the car, trying to make it look like he was going to get her, and then he eventually opens the car door, and she ends up stabbing him in the face and then lets go of the pole and gets out the car. Once again, this is where I say that shit gets stupid. Because why you didn't just continue just to stab him with that pole to puncture him, I don't know why she didn't do that. I would have done that if I were in this scene. But I wasn't in this scene. Moving on. So she gets out of the car and she goes into another car, and instead of walking and running out of this place like I would have, she goes into a car and then she looks underneath to see if she can see his foot. Paris, I think you were typecasted. I honestly think they said, what would you do in this situation? And then they just ran with it. I honestly do not believe this was in the script. Maybe your death scene was in the script, but I really don't believe all this dialogue and this context that you put in this scene was in that script. And you couldn't tell me otherwise until you actually put it in my face. Just saying. So, in this part, after she gets through looking, she peeks her head up and Vincent throws the pole and it hits her right in the middle of the head and she dies that way. And like I said, her and Dalton probably had the worst death scenes in the whole movie, just because that is crazy to me. I don't want to be stabbed in the head. That is just crazy to me. So after this, we go back to Carly and Nick. They're, trying to figure out how the hell they're going to get out of this town, how the hell they're going to, get there. And they go back up to the house. Or no, they don't go to the house. What are they doing? Oh, no, they are, at this point, Nick wants to get a weapon, which he was smart. So he breaks the window of this hardware store and he grabs the army bow and arrow gun and he grabs the arrows, and Bo was headed up to here. Bo was like, fuck it, I got to shoot y'all now. So Bo comes with a shotgun and begins shooting them, and then they run into the movie theater. So they run into the movie theater, and then What Happened to Baby Jane is playing in the theater, and that is an old school movie. I've seen it in high school. It was, interesting. So Bo comes in the movie theater. He begins counting people like he did at the church. He begins looking around, making sure everybody has not moved their places. Carly tries to camouflage her way in the theater, which was, I don't think it was necessarily stupid, but I don't think it was necessarily smart. That was kind of like one of the things where I don't know if I would have done that. Because I'm pretty sure he can pick me out of the whole bunch. I'm pretty sure he's looked at these people a million times and can pick them out. But that's what she does. She goes into the theater and she, tries to camouflage her way. And he ends up seeing her and shoots the wax figure behind her. Nick shoots him with the bone arrow gun and hits him in the, I believe he hits him in the arm at this point. And he shoots, again, and he hits the wax bellman. So Bo managed to get himself in the lobby of the theater, and then Nick shoots him again through the chest, and he ends up passing out. So Carly grabs the gun and notices that there aren't any more bullets. She checks his pocket, so she hides the gun in the concession stand, and then they leave off. And then this is where they go into the house. They go to the house at this point. And so Carly looks for her cell phone and realizes it's not in there. She didn't look deep enough because I'm sure that phone was way back there as she looked. And they look at the house and she tells him Wade went into the house but never came out of it. So they decide, let's go into the house. So they go into the house and, directly, they're having this bonding moment. It was really sweet to look at them and really see that they can work together even under the circumstances. But they go into the house, they pick up the phone's not working. They begin being nosy, looking at pictures and shit, and it's like, let's not do that. Let's get the moment going where, we need to look for weapons or a way out. So they see a gun cabinet, but there is no other way to get the guns. And all of a sudden, Bo comes in to the house. Now, we're looking at Bo limping and moaning and, all this. And when Carly realizes they were Siamese twins when she was holding the pictures, because she still held on to that picture. And when Bo was walking in the kitchen, it had fell on the floor. So she gets underneath the pool table and Nick is in the kitchen. He tells her, go this way when he comes that way. Bo finally makes it to the sink and, begins to try to take the arrows out. That was a 16. I didn't need to see all that. They end up going into the back where Wade was, that same kind of room. Nick ends up seeing, the light to where Vincent was, where Wade died. And he's like, okay, we have a way out. So they go down to this basement, sort of. And at the time that they find it, Blake and Paris, what they dead ass, is driving the tow truck, and he got my Escalade and that nice ass Charger hooked up to it. And I'm just like, oh, y'all wrong for this. So Bo kind of gets pissed and was like, hey, you don't ever leave here without me. You understand? We do this together. And it's like, well, Bo, you were just killing motherfuckers by yourself, or trying to at least. What the hell is you talking about? See, and that's where, and that's what I'm saying. Bo must have had the mind, because Vincent is just a follower. So Vincent is trying to fix his face because, Paris juked the shit out of his face. So he had to kind of make sure that, but he was trying to help Bo too, but Bo's mean to him. And it was kind of like, Bo, we not liking you. Not that we ever would have in the first place, but, but then he starts to be nice to his little brother, and he was like, look, Mom would have been so proud of you. Your stuff is coming real. She always told you that your talent would make up for what God took from you. And it was like, well, no, God didn't take that from you. Your daddy just did the surgery wrong. Like, we're not finna do that. Like, y'all could have just been stuck together as Siamese twins. Like, your dad was just selfish and cut you down the middle. We're not finna play that game, Bo. Let's not do that. Let's not put God into this. Okay, thank you. So at this point, Nick and Carly are downstairs in the basement. They see a generator. That's how they're controlling this whole town. And so they start playing with the light switches, trying to, because it's dark down there. They can't see shit. Me personally, I wouldn't have done that because I don't know what I'm turning on, what I'm turning off. And they know where those switches are, because when they look out the window and they see all the lights are going off, they knew exactly where to look, which was in that alleyway. So at this moment, they cut the light on and they can see down the basement. And they begin going further down where they see that there's this wax studio. Vincent comes down and she goes, that's Vincent. And Chad ready to fight. Like Nick was ready to fight. He was like, okay, we just finna fight, because there's nothing else we can do at this point but fight. So he begins, throwing shit. They begin swinging on the floor. Carly found this bat in the house, so she had the bat with her. So she tries to hit Vincent with the bat. Vincent catches the bat, swings her ass, and she falls on a lever. And Nick ends up tackling Vincent because Vincent was about to go after Carly. But Nick ends up tackling Vincent and they fall on the ground. And so at this moment, Vincent pushes Nick away, and then Nick ends up pouring the pot of wax all over there, and it catches fire. So it catches fire and it drills a wedge between Nick and Carly versus Vincent. So they end up going into the house. You know, Carly finally sees Wade and knows that he is dead for real. She's kind of stuck. Nick opens the door and sees Bo and says, "You sick fuck," and tackles Bo. Like I said, Nick is ready to fight at this point, and I can't blame Nick. Like, what the hell else you gonna do? You gotta fight. So he ends up fighting, and, you know, Bo did stab him in the leg, and the knife was in there, and then he kicks him off. Carly comes and hits him, and then Bo, she didn't hit him hard enough because Bo ended up knocking her in the face, and that's when Nick kind of just continued to, you know, get him down, and, you know, it was just a sad. So eventually he gets Nick off him again, and Carly comes with the bat and hits him in the face, and she just kept hitting him. She literally beats him to death with the bat, and it was like, damn, like, okay, Carly. Vincent comes out of the basement eventually and sees his brother. He goes, "Whoa," and then looks at him. And so Carly, he's mad at Carly. He ain't really fucking with Nick because Nick is on the ground. He goes up to Carly. Carly running up the stairs, and that's when I was like, Carly, I want to like you and Paris, but why the fuck are y'all walking up these stairs and you ain't got no way to go out? Make it make sense. I'm not finna run up no stairs if I know I can't walk back down them in another direction. I'm not finna tire myself out like that. So she walks into this room, and there's a bed there, and there's a carriage or a baby crib, something like that. And from what I found out watching behind the scenes, that bed was actually peanut butter. It wasn't even wax. So Vincent runs into the room. He's pissed. You done killed my brother. And he's like, oh my God. She goes, wait, you're not the freak. You're not the freak. Bo, don't listen to Bo. She was trying to reason with him. Vincent ain't trying to hear that shit. You didn't kill his brother. He's going to kill you. So she runs across the bed, and she's still trying to reason with him. And she goes, please don't kill me. And then he like kind of jumps. And so she runs out the room and slides. And then Nick comes and he tackles Vincent onto the bed. And they going. And Nick somehow knocks off his mask. And we saw that his face from when the dad cut them in half, we saw that half of his face was missing, and it was literally like, it wasn't so much that it was flesh. I didn't know what that was. It was very indented. It was very disturbing to look at. I was kind of to an extent where I'm just like, ew. I was like Carly. Carly was frozen when she saw that shit. She was like, and Nick was like, grab the knife and stab him. So she grabs the knife, she stabs him, and then Nick kicks him off, and he falls through the ground and literally lands on top of Bo the exact same way that they came into this world. So they died the exact same way they came in. I thought that was clever. That was really clever. So the house is still melting. Nick and Carly need to get out. They don't know which way to get out. So she begins digging through the wall and realizes that they're on the same section as the sign, as the House of Wax sign. So they come out through the sign, they push the A down, and then the sign kind of slid down to enough where they can get on ground level, and then they climb out, and then they continue to watch the House of Wax Museum burn down. And they were just like, damn. And it was crazy. So the police end up coming because they said they saw the fire, which was lies and bullshit. I called the police so they can come because y'all didn't find that town before. How are y'all gonna find it out with the fire? Y'all just thought the woods was on fire. So what ends up happening after that is the ambulance come, and Carly asked the question we all want to know, how come nobody knew about this? He goes, well, after the sugar mill closed, we kind of forgot about this town. And it's like, no, I need you to do better than that. I need a better excuse because this was some bullshit. Y'all don't have census bureaus that investigate this shit and look at the histories? Come on. We're not gonna go there. We're not gonna do this. Like, come on, that was stupid. So, you know, Nick ends up taking the camera from the evidence. He goes, I don't think they should have it. And I agree, because it was like, y'all didn't care if the town was empty or even there. So why would y'all care about looking at some evidence? Everybody's dead. So the man on the one of the police officer on the radio overheard on the radio, he goes, hey, Trudy Sinclair didn't have two children, she had three. And that's when we drive past and we see the man from the beginning who threw the roadkill. He's like, so we don't know what the back, and that's why I said if I was the writer, I would have had backstory on him too. I probably wouldn't have included him the same way they didn't include him in the movie, but there need to be backstory. Like, where was he? So it makes me wonder, like, was he in the beginning of the movie and we just never saw Vincent? Like, I need to know more. Like that. So that's where I kind of made this my least favorite, because there were some things that were just unexplained that I needed some explanations, and that happened to be the biggest one. But that was it, you guys. And I tried to, and the irony that my channel is Watch Your Mouth Reviews, and I did not watch my mouth in this review. And I'm gonna probably say that, you know, in the beginning, I'm probably not gonna watch my mouth, because some of these movies will make you cuss, just like this one. But I hope you guys enjoyed nonetheless. Like, comment, subscribe. I know this video is long, but most of all, I hope you guys are entertained. I plan to give a video every day dating to my ultimate favorite horror movie, which will be debuting October 31st. So why don't you come on the ride with me? And I hope you enjoy. Until next time, you guys, bye-bye.